The divide and measure tools have been in AutoCAD for quite a long time. That might be evident by their names once you hear what they do. These commands work similarly to each other, so once you know how to use one, you can use the other. The divide command creates evenly spaced point objects along the length or perimeter of an object. The measure command creates point objects at measured intervals along the length or perimeter of other objects. Let's open up the ice rink example file so we can show you how these are used. Now, both of these commands are rather simple to use, but they can be very powerful and very helpful. They're going to help you calculate spacing along a line and prevent you from having to do the math yourself, thus reducing the amount of time that takes on your part, and it will help reduce error. So let's say you need to design something that has a certain length, for example, along this circle. Now, you can use the measure and divide commands along a line, along a polyline, an arc, or a circle, any of those things. So let's say you needed to divide up this circle. You don't know how long the circle is, but you just need equal distant points along this. And let's say you need them all to be the same width, but you need 10 of them. So you come up to the Home tab on the ribbon, go to Draw, and you want to go to the Divide command. So the divide command will divide them up evenly. The measure command will set them at a set measured distance. So if you know what that distance is, you use measure. If you only know the number of divided objects you need, you click divide. So let's start the divide command, and we select the object we want to divide, this arc. And now we say, how many segments do we want? Well, we want this divided up into 10 segments. So we type in 10, press enter. I say, wait, it didn't do anything. Well, what the divide and measure command does is it inserts points. So you might not be able to see your points. I can see mine on here when I look at it a certain little way. It's right here. What you'll need to do is change your point mode to be able to see these. By default, point mode is set to 0, which means it's off. That means you probably won't be able to see your points, but they're there. If you go to the Home tab on the ribbon, go to the Utilities panel, go down here to the Point Style command, or you can just type in P-type. Click that, it'll bring up your point style option. So right now, a point in my drawing looks like a little bitty dot. So you might be able to see one. There's one right here. Now, if I click this option, it sets it to nothing, so you won't be able to see it. You can have a plus sign, a cross, any of these objects here, any visual styles, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to pick this one to be highly visible. Once you select that, click OK. Here are all of the points. So we divided up this circle into these 10 equal length segments. So now you can either break your circle to those points, you can draw lines from them, whatever it is that you need to do. But now you know what that length is. Now let's say that I need so many lengths around this circle that are so many units long. We can do that. Instead of using the divide command, we're going to use the measure command. To get to these commands, you can also type in their names, divide or measure. So if I click measure, I select my object here, and let's say I want them to be 10 units long. So now it's going to start where I clicked and space them all out 10 units long until I get exactly that many, and it'll fit in as many as it possibly can. So you can see here, these are 10 units, 10 units, 10 units, and then here it just can't fit anymore, so it stops. So circles can be kind of tough. Let's look at something that I might want to do. Let's say I need this rink split up into 3 equal parts lengthwise. So I want to divide this line up by thirds. So I'm going to use one of these commands. I'm going to click here and go to the divide command. Select that to start the command, pick the line, and I'm going to type in 3 because I need 3 equal sections. So it drew 2 points for me, dividing this up equally, 1, 2, and 3. And now I'm going to use a construction line, turn on my ortho, and I'm going to draw 2 lines all the way up and down, and that has divided up my rink into 3 equal sections lengthwise. So now lay this out, and maybe it's a new paint pattern that I need for a special event on my ice, or maybe I just need to show that somehow so I can see what it's going to look like, divide it up for whatever use that I have. If you have a polyline, and let's say this polyline is a fence, and it goes all the way around my building here. So that's a fence that goes around my building, and I need to know how many fence posts I'm going to use on my fence. I'm going to go up to the measure command, and I'm going to select my polyline, and I know that my fence posts are set up let's say at an 8-foot interval. So every 8 feet, I need a post. So I press enter. That's a lot of posts that I'm going to need. So what I can do now is just count the number of points that I have, and that will tell me how many fence posts that I need. So I'm going to select all these objects here, and if I get extra stuff, that's okay. Just don't want to select any extra points, which I have right here. I don't have any anywhere else. I can come to my properties palette, and it tells me I have 274 points. So that means I'm going to need 274 posts to create my fence around my building. So that's another use that you can have for these measure and divide tools.